A lot of women over 40 are in a really frustrating place right now. Because from the outside, people think you are looking and doing great for your age. You're not obviously overweight. You're still getting things done and you can handle what needs to be handled. But you feel it. You find yourself thinking, what happened to my energy? Why do I feel this drain? Why does a regular day take this much out of me now? So naturally, you start trying to explain it. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it is my hormones. Maybe this is just what happens after 40. But sometimes the issue goes deeper than what you can see on the outside. And this is what I want to talk about in this video. Because you see, the fat you can pinch is not always the fat causing the biggest problem. A woman can look fine on the outside, but still be dealing with the kind of fat that quietly affects her energy, metabolism, and long-term health. So I was reminded of this a few months ago when I was talking to a friend about his report from the doctor. Now, if you look at him, you wouldn't think anything was wrong. He was lean, have a flat stomach, and very athletic. But then he told me, the doctor said I have fat around my organs, visceral fat. And it was such a good reminder that what you see on the outside is not always the full story. Because you see, the scale, it can be confusing, and it can make you think everything is fine, or make you think everything is wrong, when really it's not telling you the full picture. Because the scale tells you how much you weigh, and that's it. It does not tell you how much of that weight is muscle. And it does not tell you where your body is storing fat. And it definitely does not tell you what may be happening deeper inside your body. That's why a woman can look lean, still fit in her clothes, and still not feel well. Still feel tired, still feel sluggish, still feel like her body is not responding the way it used to. And on the other side, a woman can weigh more than she wants to and still be doing better on the inside than someone who looks smaller. And that's why the scale by itself is a terrible measure of your health, because not all fat is equal. The fat most people notice and worry about is the fat that they can pinch. You know, the belly pouch, the love handle, the soft fat right under the skin. This is called subcutaneous fat. And that's why the conversation about visceral fat becomes so important, because it sits deeper in the abdomen, around the organs, and is more closely linked to things like blood sugar problems, metabolic issues, and higher long-term health risks. And that's why this conversation matters, especially for women over 40. Because a lot of women, they judge their health by the mirror and the scale. They're thinking, I'm not overweight, so I'm good. But in the meantime, their body may be telling them a different story. Their energy is low, they don't feel like themselves, and their blood sugar is less stable. They're recovering, not what used to be. So the real question after 40 is not just, how do I maintain my figure? The better question is, what is happening to my body? And is my lifestyle helping me or hurting me? Because you see, after 40, the goal is not just to look fine on the outside. You also want the kind of health that support your energy, focus, strength, and future. So let's talk about movement, because this is a much bigger deal than most women realize. Because you see, after 40, a lot of women are not just dealing with hormone shifts, they are also dealing with changes in body composition. So in simple terms, that means you can slowly start losing muscle while gaining more fat. And not all of that fat shows up the same way. Some of it is the fat that you can see and pinch under the skin. That is subcutaneous fat. But some of it is the fat stored under the organ. That is visceral fat. And because women are generally less active around this time, that shift can become harder to manage. And that matters because muscle is not just about looking toned. Your muscles are one of the main places in the body that use glucose or sugar from food you eat. And it uses it for energy. When your muscles are active, they pull more glucose out of the bloodstream and use it as fuel. But when that system is not working well, more glucose stays in the bloodstream. And so over time, that excess energy can be stored as fat. But the other benefit of having more muscle is that physical tasks take less out of you because your body has more strength in reserve. So things like climbing the stairs, carrying groceries, or standing up from a chair feels easier. But when you lose muscle, that same movement can require more effort, leaving you feeling more tired overall. So age-related muscle loss is often linked with weakness, fatigue, and more difficulty with everyday movement. And this is where many women miss the connection. When you move less and lose muscle, it can become easier for body fat to build up over time. But the good news is that you can do something about it. Resistant training, along with regular movement, can help reduce fat while also helping you maintain and build your muscle. So things like dumbbells, resistance bands, body weight exercises, or using a machine at the gym. Anything that challenges your muscle enough to help you keep them. And movement throughout the day is so important. So walking more, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, standing up more often, breaking those long periods of sitting by, say, doing squats. Because you see, that 30 minutes workout, it cannot fully offset a day spent sitting down. Because when you sit for long periods of time, your muscle contract less. So that means you pull less glucose from the blood. And so over time, too much sedentary time is linked with a higher risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and other metabolic problems. So if you find your energy is changing, don't just ask, is this hormones? Also ask, have I been moving less? Have I lost muscles? What am I doing to help my body stay strong? Because you see, after 40, supporting your energy is about moving enough and building and maintaining muscle to help your body stay strong, responsive, and metabolically healthy. So now let's talk about the importance of reading your labels. Because if you are trained to reduce visceral fat, support your energy, and help your body work better after 40, one of the best things you can do at the grocery store is read your labels. Because packaging can be very misleading. A product may say things like low fat, light, heavy, or made with real fruit on the front and still be packed with added sugar, sodium, or ingredients that do not really support your health. And this is where you cannot just rely on what you see at the front to make a decision. The real story is usually at the back. So let me just share a few tips to follow when making your choices at the grocery store. Check serving size. Sometimes a product might look reasonable until you realize the label is based on a small serving size, when in fact you may be using 2 or 3 servings at a given time. And that servings will add up because then you have to multiply the numbers you see by the actual amount you use at a given time, which made the equation a lot different because it means you may be consuming more calories, sugar, sodium than you realize. The second thing you want to do is to compare brands. So put 2 brands side by side. Look at the labels. See which one might be better in quality. So you can do this with your yogurts, your sauces, your salad dressings, your gravies, your flavored drinks. So one yogurt may be lower in fat and higher in added sugar. Another one that may have more protein and less sugar. So some of the questions you want to ask yourself is which one has more protein? Which one has more fiber? Which one has less added sugar? Which one has less sodium or unhealthy fat? Because sometimes you're not eating a huge amount of food, but you're still taking in a lot of sugar, fat, salt without realizing it. And that's where you have to become more aware. Because once you start reading your labels, you stop shopping based on the marketing or what you like or what you grew up with, and you start shopping based on what will actually support your body. So once you get the right food in your cart, the next question is how do you eat in a way that helps your body handle them better? So it's not just about what you eat, you also want to consider the order, timing, and what you do after the meal. So let's start with the order. Because research suggests that when you eat your veggies and protein first and save the carbs for later, your blood sugar tends to rise more slowly after meals. This is compared with eating the carbs first. One of the reasons is that fiber and protein can slow how quickly food moves through the stomach and how quickly glucose hits the bloodstream. This gives your body a better chance to respond without such a sharp spike in your blood sugar. And this matters even more after 40 because when you get older, you will notice that your blood sugar is less forgiving than it was when you were in your 30s or 20s. And this is not about never eating rice, pasta, bread, or potatoes again. It's about helping your body handle them better. Then this is the piece almost nobody talks about enough. Moving after you eat. Research shows that just 10 minutes of very light movement like walking can help lower blood sugar after eating, but only if it's timed right. So waiting about 30 to 45 minutes after eating when your blood sugar naturally peaks seems to be more effective than moving right away. Not because walking is magical, but because you are giving your muscle a chance to use some of the glucose instead of letting it just sit there and spike. So instead of eating and going straight to the couch or staying glued to your desk, try a light walk, even for 10 to 15 minutes. The goal is to prevent the fluctuations in your blood sugar levels. And then let's talk about timing because your body runs on a rhythm. So in the morning and early afternoon, your metabolism is more active and your cells are more insulin sensitive. This means your body handles carbs and sugar more effectively. This is a ideal time to fuel up because your body is ready to burn what you eat and not store it. But your insulin sensitivity will decline as the day goes on, especially in the evening. So your metabolism starts to wind down in preparation for rest and not digestion. So when you eat most of your calories late or snack after dinner, your body isn't in fat burning mode. Instead, it is more likely to store that food as fat. So that instant late like snack could be undoing your progress without you even realizing it. That's why front loading your calories early in the day and giving your digestive system a break before bed can make a big difference in how your body burns fat, manage energy, and even how you sleep. So if you want a simple strategy, here it is. Eat your veggies and protein first. Save the carbs for later in the meal. Take a short walk after you eat, about 30 to 45 minutes after. Try to eat your biggest meal early in the day and avoid late night eating. These small changes, if you do them consistently, can make a significant impact in how you feel. Low energy after 40 is not always about being overweight. It's not something you should ignore either just because you think you look fine. Sometimes the issue is deeper. It could be visceral fat. It can be muscle loss. It can be blood sugar instability. It can be sitting too much, moving too little, or eating in a way that works against your body. But like I said, you can do something about it. So instead of only asking, how do I stay slim? Start asking, is my lifestyle helping my body or hurting it? Because after 40, the goal is not just to look fine on the outside. The goal is to build the kind of health that support your energy, your strength, and your future. So we have less than 90 days before summer. But this is still enough time to step into a stronger, more energized version of you. So if you are a purpose-driven woman over 40 who's tired of feeling tired and ready for your summer shift, click the link below to join our upcoming challenge. See you there.